So, hello. Today you're gonna learn about Uruguayan Flight 571, one of the creepiest situations that a human could ever been into, and you're gonna understand why. But first, some details for you to understand the story better. This takes place in 13, well, it started in 13th of October of 1972, which is the day the plane took off, which you will learn later in the story. And the people involved are 45 passengers, of course, because it's a plane, and only 16 people managed to survive. Now, what did these people learn from this experience? They learned that having trust and faith can guide you to overcome problems. No matter how hard they are, you can always find a way to overcome them. But now that you know these details, let's jump into this story, which is pretty creepy. As a normal flight, the Uruguayan flight was going to go from Uruguay to Chile. Nothing unexpected. So the plane was going, so the plane took off. They were traveling, and as they got closer to their destination, the pilot got confused and he didn't know where he was going. So because he didn't know where he was going, actually he thought he was getting closer to the destination and started taking the plane off. But to his surprise, he was not closer. He was actually a little far because he made a wrong turn, because in the plane to go closer to a mountain. And what this caused was because the plane was so low, and because he was close to a mountain, the pilot didn't have enough time to react correctly, and this caused the right wing of the plane to crash to the mountain, causing the full plane to go down. So in that moment, people were stuck in a mountain, in a freezing mountain, to be more certain.
There were 27 survivors within the initial crash. Most were members or supporters of the rugby team, which had boarded the plane to fly to Chile for a match. Although they were certain of imminent rescue, the survivors, under the leadership of rugby team captain Marcelo Perez, organized their efforts over the subsequent few days to clear the plane of debris. They even melted snow in the water to avoid dehydration, and finding things to stay away from freezing to death within the sub-zero temperatures of the night. They had a small amount of food and wine. They rationed this severally until rescue would arrive, but no rescue came. And after 10 days, they heard the news on the tiny transmitter radio that they had found within the plane that the search had been cut off. Desperate, starving, and with no hope of being saved, the survivors made the difficult decision to eat the bodies of the dead so as to remain alive. With food in their stomachs, they were determined to find a way to get out on their own, but they still suffered terribly from hunger, cold, sickness, and inclemency. One in all the worst moments came in October 29, when an avalanche hit and filled the plane with snow, killing 8 people. One amongst those 8 was Marcelo Perez, who was a team captain, whose death left the group without a solid leadership. The position he left was eventually filled by the 3 Strauch cousins, Eduardo, Fito, and Daniel Fernandez. They were trusted and highly respected among the other boys. After the avalanche, the remaining survivors were buried alive within the fuselage for 3 days.
Although many of them believed that dying would be easier than surviving, they kept fighting and they started doing these organized expeditions. And after more than 2 months, two of them, which names are Nando Parando and Roberto Candesa, climbed across the Andes on a heroic 10-day journey to civilization, and they sent help for the others. After spending 72 days on the mountain, they became closer and they created this unimaginable friendship. And against all odds, 16 of them were brought home alive. This event quickly became famous, and it's one of the most inspiring stories, survival stories that the world have ever. Conference, the survivors revealed that they had been forced to commit cannibalism, and later they explained that they had been inspired by the Last Supper, in which Jesus gave to his followers bread and wine, and he said, "This is my blood." That helped further public opinion, and also the church absolved them later. This story was the basis for a lot of books and films, and also the survivors wrote books about how much they wanted to stay alive.